Okay, so here's a quick reminder about our rollout today that's happening as I make this video. The eye gels and the new bag valve masks. We're bringing you infant bag valve mask, replacing the child size ones in the pediatric airway module. And we're bringing the eye gels out that are replacing the Kings. We'll keep a couple of those in the pediatric airway module, and a couple of those will be loose in the bag, secured by both the pediatric and the adult airway modules. And then a reminder, HEPA filters are now in the adult bag valve module, the adult airway module, but that doesn't mean they can't be used on peds. You should use HEPA filter anytime you're ventilating somebody these days. Here's the 7 sizes of eye gels. The smallest 2, the 1 and the 1.5, are going to go in the pediatric airway module, and the other 5 will be stacked together. I'll show you a picture of that in a minute. Notice while we're here that there is a label on each of the eye gels to help you determine the correct size. Do the best you can. Don't freak out if you end up having to use 2. Open up 2 packages. It's okay. Let's just get it right. And you will figure it out. It's common sense, but being unfamiliar, we wanted to put as much information on that label as possible. Estimated weight, estimated age, estimated, and then there's the Broslow tape, which is what the ambulance service will use. It's a color-coded, length-based reference chart that they will lay next to the patient and determine how long the patient is, whether he's a pink length or a purple or a blue or an orange or whatever, and those Broslow colors are on that label. Here's the actual labels that are on the eye gels. And there's basically 4 that are pediatric and 3 that are adult, although that 2.5 is technically pediatric and the 3 is small adult, but there's a little bit of crossover there. On the pediatric ones, the lube is taped to the package. On the adult ones, the lube is in the package. On the pediatric ones, you're going to hold it and then add some tape to help. On the adult ones, you're going to hold it and then add the strap to help. Again, the pediatric ones, 1.0, 1.5, are in the airway module, the pediatric airway module with the infant bag valve mask. And then the 2.0 and the 2.5 are better packaged, are better carried loose with the other eye gels, but those are all pediatric. And then I think in terms of the bag valve mask, you're going to want to use that infant bag valve mask with those smallest 2 airways. And then you're probably going to want to use the larger bag valve mask for all those airways that are packaged loose. So basically, if it comes in the peds module, use it on the peds, and then otherwise use your adult bag. And then these are the adult sizes. And this pretty much is the same, if you remember, as what the Kings are. The yellow King was a number 3 for small adults, short adults. And most of the time we were placing a number 4. On taller people, we were placing a number 5. It's the same with the eye gels. It's just that they're different color codes. So you were used to grabbing the red one on the Kings. Well, now you're grabbing the green one, the number 4 eye gel. And so the lube is in the package, the strap is in the package. You just open up the package, and there you go. So our smallest 2 are going to go in with the infant bag valve mask. This is a picture of the way it's going to be packaged and the way it is being packaged right now as I make this video. And you can see the labels and the lube taped to the outside, and that's all enclosed in the pediatric airway module. Then the 5 remaining, 2 of them are ped sizes and then the 3 adult sizes. They fit best stacked in the bag, standing upright. So you can see both a close-up and then a little bit zoomed out version there. And in the zoomed out version, we took out a couple of modules that were laying on top of that suction, the trauma and the PP. We kind of moved those out of your way just for clarity. But you can see there's an adult airway module that has the adult bag valve mask, the HEPA filter, the pocket mask, adult orals and nasals. Then you have the pediatric airway module that has the infant bag and infant size orals and infant masks, and then in between them, secured in between them, are those 5 loosely packed eye gels. Here's your infant bag valve mask. The most you could get out of that bag possibly is 220 cc's. A one-hand tidal volume would give you 150 cc's. that will fit the same kids that you're putting the 1.0 and the 1.5 eye gel in. Very small neonates, infants, very small toddlers. That'll work just fine. And then once you go to the eye gels that are packaged loose in the pack, now you're talking about the need for that adult bag valve mask. And the reasonable tidal volume you can get with one hand, half a bag squeeze, is about 600 cc's or so. And that is the target for American Heart. So while the total bag is 1,500 almost, a good one hand half bag squeeze like we suggest and train on will get you a 600 cc tidal volume. Here's the adult module, again showing the HEPA filter. It's wedged right in there in its package between the adult bag valve mask and the pocket mask case. And do try to use that HEPA filter on both pediatric and adult patients. If you're bagging somebody, there's no reason not to use that HEPA filter. So then we're going to talk about securing the smallest eye gels, securing any eye gel. And I can't emphasize enough that nothing that we do, whether it's straps or tapes, replaces manually securing that eye gel with your hand firmly clamped to the face and jaw. You only need one hand for the bag valve mask. What do you do with the other hand? You hold the eye gel still with the other hand. You can add straps, you can add tape, but all they're doing is helping. And certainly any time that patient is being moved, you've got to be holding that airway. When we're going to tape, remember that tape sticks to tape. It doesn't stick to wet, slobbery, bloody, puke-covered skin or razor stubbly skin or beards. Tape sticks to tape. And so use as much tape as you need. And in the examples, you'll see that we use a lot of tape, and that's fine. A lot of people like to tear big, long pieces and try to keep them from catching on the carpet and catching in the hair, and that may be okay in the ER setting or maybe even in the back of the ambulance. Really doesn't work very well, in our opinion, right in the scene. And so when you watch the example videos, you'll notice that it seemed to be kind of fumbling with the tape. The problem was we didn't have anybody holding that bag valve mask, and the airway mannequins were coming up off the ground. So it's much easier in real life than I made it look in the videos. But you just use a lot of tape is better than anything else. Then the ambulance services have the commercial tube holders, the Thomas tube holders. Again, nothing replaces manually securing. And in our opinion, the Thomas tube holders really kind of compress that eye gel tube and don't hold it in place very well. And you may, the tube may appear to be secured and it's not really. And I think tape does a better job of that. So as you watch the examples, you'll see taping and you'll also see the tube holder being used. Okay, so here we're working with a probably 4 or 5 year old, and we'll move this around a little bit to try to get the best angle for you. Easy insertion, met a little resistance, went ahead until it went into place. Confirm with chest rise using that HEPA filter, and in this case we're using the adult bag valve mask with just a partial squeeze. And now, without anybody holding the bag valve mask for me, I try to tape it. But you start with tape to the tube, spin it around a couple of times, and then run it either under the patient's neck or behind their head. And it doesn't have to stay to where it's taped all the way around. You're not trying to necessarily get the tape to stick to every bit of skin. You're trying to use the tape almost like a string, and then run it around and roll it. Wrap it around that tube several times to get it good and secured. And then what do you do with the end? Well, you can leave it attached to itself, or in this case I stuck it on the face, but we're not counting on that. And you see a hand is in place the whole time, trying to hold it here. Tried to show using the adult size of that commercial Thomas tube holder, trying to keep that airway clamped. And again, somebody would be holding that bag valve mask, but and so on this iteration, I tried clamping it down first, and then running the strap around. The strap goes underneath the head, comes up through a loop, and velcros to itself. and it seemed to be okay. On that larger eye gel, it seemed like that Thomas was able to hold it pretty well. Here's a much smaller kit, say one that's taken a 1.5, so the infant size, and you can see the infant bag valve mask, and that's about all you can see right now until it spins out of the way. But again, the hand is securing that tube as best as possible, and then several loops with the tape. And then, again, in a real situation, the patient would have some weight. There'd probably be CPR going on, and somebody would be holding that bag valve mask. So we left the bag valve mask in these videos because we didn't want you to get the impression that you stopped ventilating while we secured with tubes, but it kind of had an obstructed view. So in this case, we used the Thomas tube holder, the small size, pediatric size, and ran the strap around and tried to tighten that down first. And then you'll see as we try to do this screw in the clamp that it really slips and compresses and just doesn't work very well. So in case ambulance services try to use those, we want you to see that. Tape is great, and so size these things, place them, secure them with your hand, add some tape, and that's the end of our rollout.